Hi, check. Okay, great. So if all you folks can hear me, thank you so much, Parry, for joining us this afternoon. And hopefully this will make for an engaging conversation. Uh, let's start right out. Parry, given your position and from where you sit, if you could give me a sense about how marketers across regions, and when I mean regions, I mean let's look at India as a region. Let's look at the West split into separate parts. So different regions, really the sophisticated markets versus the not so sophisticated markets, which would be ours, in terms of how they really look and behave on, let's say, Twitter.
Okay. So, Sonali, firstly, I want to thank everyone for giving me a promotion just now. I was told that I am the Managing Director of Middle East and North America. That's a promotion for me. It's supposed to be Africa, but maybe you know that's something I don't know. So that's great. So, all right, so differences between the way social media is used across different regions. I think there are, firstly, I would not call India a not sophisticated market. I would push back on that a bit. I would challenge you a bit on that. I think there are enough sparks of brilliance in the way people use social media here, which includes marketers and brand managers, and also media companies, for me to say very confidently that, hey, people are doing the right thing over here. We just need to scale it more. We need to do more of it. We need to do it in a sustainable manner. But I really like some of the stuff that I see over here. But social media and the way you use it is also a result of the cultural environment. Eventually, what is Twitter? Twitter is basically the pulse of whatever is happening around you. And that seeps into the way marketers use social media as well. So for instance, in some regions, we see campaigns that work on social media are more focused on information generation. In some regions, like India, for instance, people love to talk in this medium. People love to have a point of view. So there's an element of getting people to voice out their own opinion on social media, and that works very well over here. I'll give you an example. One of the campaigns I really like is one done by Intel some time back. They wanted their brand to be in the front and center of people's mindscape. And they ran this competition which took a person through a journey of the days when there was no PC, how was life without any PC, my first PC, and my next PC. But the critical difference was they asked people, what do they think about life without PC, my PC, or my next PC? And I think that's a unique element of social media. Social media is about the people, not your business. And as long as you're keeping the people in the front and center, your campaigns will do well.
Parry, but let me draw you back to my question, which really is about how marketers and really their behavior pattern in terms of dealing with social media. So let's just look at the West versus the East. And okay, let's just look at, I mean, it is a given that, we're not as advanced, technologically advanced in terms of our brand behavior on social media. The West is clearly ahead of the curve compared to us, right? So just given the fact that how do marketers deal with the likes of Twitter as opposed to, let's say, marketers there, just the way they approach it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it also depends on, I talked about the cultural factors, but also technology factors. If you know that, videos in India, because of the given bandwidth, it'll be difficult to load the videos over here. That will have an obvious impact on the way you would use the medium. So we see, in the West, we see a lot of use of videos, rich media. Not as much over here as we would want it to be because of just a technological limitation. I don't think there's any dearth of creativity or imagination. It's just about, the technological constraints that exist in the country. And sometimes also, I think it's about education and it's about empowerment. Social media works best when people down the line are empowered to tweet, to post, and to react and to be part of the moment. If the moment is gone, then you lost that, that critical juncture where you can be at the center of people's mind.
Great. So that's a great point. So you're saying it's important to be topical, right? Do you think brands are equipped in India specifically, equipped to, ride the wave, so to speak? Yeah. Are they really switched on at all points in time? Because you actually have to be like a newsroom, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think there are two elements to it. One is, you need to understand what your brand stands for and what's the voice of your brand, and be true to that throughout. One of the things that we are doing with agencies and marketeers is introducing a program called Take Flight, in which we help brands understand what's the voice of your brand. Imagine your brand was a person. What kind of a person would he be? Is he, a kind uncle? Is he a close friend? What do you think your brand is? So think of that person, use that voice, and stay true to that voice. That's the first element. The second element is to understand all the moments that peak and trend on social media and put your brand in the front and center of that moment. The moment could be football, the moment could be cricket, or the moment could be something as simple as the hand washing day which was there yesterday. So we had a brand doing a video around the hand washing day, which for a brand who's a soap, for instance, or a detergent, or somebody who's into sanitation, is a very important moment. So I think it's both, A, understanding your brand's voice, and merging that brand's voice with the moments that are available. These two put together create social media magic.
Parry, I'm going to ask you a very odd question, given the fact that you are, a senior employee of Twitter. Nevertheless, I'm going to ask you the question. Do you think Twitter today is a luxury, really an add-on, or is it a must-have for brands?
Yeah. You should look at this in the context of the overall media landscape, not just in India or anywhere in the world. There are three things that symbolize the media evolution these days. Number one, people are now always on media. Gone are the days when people would go home, switch on the TV, and that was their media consumption. We are always on. We react to media in a very close manner. It's on the phone. 76% of Twitter's usage is on the phone. So media is much more close. And number three is we have a point of view, and we want to express that point of view immediately. That's how media consumption now is different from how it used to be. And we believe that Twitter, being a medium that's live, that's public, and that conversational, is actually at the center of that, what symbolizes media today. So we believe Twitter is a medium that's for everyone, everywhere, at every moment on the planet.
But is it a must-have for brands, for marketers?
I would think so. I'll give you an example. The interesting phenomenon these days is that whether you are watching a movie or you go to a restaurant, so the trigger could be offline, but the emotional fulfillment of the trigger happens online. It's a very interesting point, because if you look at what happened during World Cup football, we saw 672 million tweets during football. And with each goal scored, the tweet volume would go up. So what's happening is people are consuming something offline, but the emotional fulfillment of it is happening online. People feel more connected with mediums like Twitter. So as long as you think you have something to say, or you have something to share with others, or you want to listen to what everybody else is saying, Twitter is a medium for you. And the great part about the medium is there are no boundaries. Anybody can follow anyone. You do not require any mutual reciprocity for somebody else to say yes to you before you follow that person. So as long as you have things that interest you, you have meaningful interests, Twitter is a medium for you. And I think that would include a very large part of the world's population.
Right. I totally get your rationale when you talk about individually, it allows me a freedom of expression onto a large canvas. My point is, let's say, for instance, Lay's, for example, or if it's Surf Excel or Ariel or whatever, right? Does it require a presence on Twitter? Am I really interested as an individual to be engaging with these brands? I mean, finally, yes, I use them, I consume them, but am I really interested in having a conversation with them?
You may or may not be, but you would want to know what your consumers are saying about you.
So then you're saying that you have to be present on Twitter just to understand what your consumers are saying.
That and a lot of other things. This is the biggest gateway to the human psyche ever evolved in the history of mankind.
Okay.
You have millions of people talking about your products. In the last session, we talked a little bit about research. You have online research, 24 hours, happening on Twitter all the time. Billions of people talking about your product. Obviously, you would not want to be, say, disconnected to that. You would want to know what people are saying about your product. And if you have something, interesting to say about your users, yes, why not? Our research in India, we just did a research in India, where we asked people one thing. Do you follow brands? And if yes, if you do follow brands, do you buy the products from that brand? 67% of the people said, yes, we love following brands. 2/3 of the people said, we love to retweet a brand's message. So not only are they following brands, they are retweeting a brand's message. And very importantly, 54% people said, as a result of following a brand, we've bought a brand's product.
What was the sample size?
Pretty big, actually. We had, in India, I think it was close to 500 to 1,000 online survey. Yeah, it was representative of the population.
500,000 people, respondents.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go into, a topic which might interest you. A lot of marketers, right, are so obsessed with social media, be it Facebook or Twitter or what have you, that, and since the chief marketing officer of all these respectable brands are, of significant age and are not really part of the internet generation, so to speak, they themselves are grappling with this new technology, right? And the whole obsession here is with likes or followers, as the case might be with Twitter, followers. Do you really think that it is important to have so much volume so that you feel that you're achieving a lot on social media? Or are you supposed to look more at value and engaging? Because what does a follow really mean, actually?
Yeah. So I think firstly, I'll take a step back a bit and start from the point of view of, so who is the follower? What does it mean to you if you're a brand or a company? I think in simple words, in non-technology word, a follower is an ambassador. He's somebody who's interested in what you have to say to him. He's somebody who would want to know more about your product and your company. And he's somebody, as I said earlier, is willing to talk on your behalf about what's happening in your company. As I said, 2 out of 3 people have said, we love to retweet a brand's message, provided the message is relevant. So a follower is an ambassador. And I think it's important for any company to have ambassadors. Why not? So yes, follower is important. That having said, I think there is life beyond that as well. It's important to have a certain critical mass of followers for your voice to be heard and amplified by people on Twitter or any other social medium. But there are things beyond that as well. Beyond followers, I think it's important to understand how people are engaging with your medium. Is your brand message really resonating with people? Number 2, I think even if you have certain followers, you have to talk to them in a certain context.
Can you explain that context?
Absolutely. So for instance, take the example of something very popular here, which is cricket. If you are a brand who does not have any connection with cricket offline, but are just using cricket online in a certain context, it may or may not resonate with your followers, right? Because they don't see your brand as a brand that's close to cricket. You have to understand what does your brand stand for in your followers' mind or in people's mind. Find that voice and talk in the context of what your brand really stands for. Just because humor is popular on Twitter does not mean it works for all brands.
Could you cite one example of a brand who has done this absolutely fabulously, engaged with their audience, an Indian brand on Twitter?
Yeah, I thought I took the example of the hand washing day yesterday, which I thought was brilliant. Because A, it was timely, it was done on that very day. B, the message was relevant from this country's perspective. So what that brand has done is, it's elevated itself, its positioning in the minds of its users and anybody who saw the message. I thought what Samsung did the day iPhone 6 was launched was cheeky, but it was interesting. iPhone 6 was this big moment for Apple, and Samsung had a promoted trend which said more than big, which became kind of viral over here. I thought it was interesting. It was a nice take on a global phenomenon, and people responded to it.
So what I get from you and people who I've met globally and both in India in terms of marketers and what they're trying to do, are you suggesting that brands, instead of just feeding information, need to really become personalities, need to have an attitude, whatever their attitude is of their brand, but need to show that and really become human beings of sorts on Twitter?
Sure. I think it's important for people love talking to human beings and not PR machines, and that's something brands should understand. Which is why we do ask brands to think of their brand in terms of a human being and figure out what kind of human being is it, and stay true to it. But that's step 1. Step 2 is understanding the right moments that are relevant from your brand's perspective. Step 3, it's a very important one, is on social media, speed trumps perfection. Sometimes brands come from the mindset of traditional media, print or TV, where everything has to be just about perfect for it to be released, for it to be in market. But remember, this is social media. If you are relevant in that moment, That's a little more important than just being perfect. So think about speed trumping perfection on social media. Make sure that the guy who's handling your Twitter or Facebook, he could be a college pass out with 3 years experience. You have to empower him to make sure that he feels confident enough to post something in that moment. Because if that moment is lost, then you've lost the relevance.
That's a brilliant point, Barry. I think most people's takeaway should be that empower the young people you have to head these mediums. Going into return on investment, which is really a favorite topic amongst marketers. So great, I'm engaging with my brand. I have like 50,000, 1 million, 1.5 million followers, maybe more. So, what does that really mean? Yeah. How do I translate that into bottom line?
Sure, yeah. So I think firstly, there are enough studies that very clearly show the correlation between followers and brand favorability and purchase. Followers very clearly say that 54% of followers have said they've bought from a brand that they have been following. That's number one. Number two, we believe each medium has a core to it, and Twitter's core is engagement. Why is engagement important to us? Because your timeline is really reflective of what's meaningful to you on Twitter. If something is not meaningful to you, you will not follow that person, and it will not be part of your timeline. So hence, your timeline is a very accurate and dynamic graph of what's meaningful to you, because of which engagement becomes very strong on Twitter, because people follow brands, individuals, or companies that they are really interested in. I come from a background of display industry where if you got a 1% click-through, you probably were up for promotion. On Twitter, on a regular basis, we see 3 to 5% cost per engagement rate. Why is that? Because it's a very accurate reflection of what's meaningful to people. So we believe that yes, having followers is important, but also focus on engagement. And there are enough research to prove that engagement leads to better brand favorability, better purchase.
But there is nothing that is really ascertained as of now in terms of real proof that you can say, be it any medium on social, where if I'm having great engagement, it's actually translating into sales. Mm-hmm. Is there any such real data that you can throw out to say that if you do really well on Twitter, then you're really going to increase your sales?
No, absolutely. I think there are three things that we do to help address this. I think it's an important point that you raise. People need to be sure and comfortable with the idea of engagement and really know that it is having a meaningful business impact. And we handle this in 3 stages. One, we do a lot of research which very clearly shows how engagement is linked to better brand favorability and purchase. We also do customized research with brands in the context of their campaigns. So we've done that in India with a lot of brands, elsewhere as well, which very clearly shows the correlation. Plus, of course, there are brands that use Twitter to lead traffic to their website, which results in actual purchase. So that's happening as well. And that's as clear a proof of Twitter or social media impacting sales as any.
So I just want to drift off a little bit. So while everybody's talking about this great digital, the rise, sure, really, and you, of course, are a propagator of it. So we see more and more, companies, giving more and more money to their, to the digital part of their ad spends, right? Because that's increasing. Sure. But what's also interesting is that most digital natives, so be it like the Snapdeals or Jabongs or Flipkarts or WeChat, whatever, their sudden increase on traditional media is humongous. So much so that for broadcasters, it's become a very significant category, almost contributing 10 to 11% of their total revenue. How do you explain that when digital natives themselves jump their own bus?
Yeah, I think each brand has to find its own media mix truth. Whatever works for the brand is important for them. We see Twitter as a great complementary medium. We are not here to siphon money away from traditional media. In fact, we believe that Twitter is, as a second screen, has a very important role to play in amplifying the messages you're putting out in traditional media. I'll give you an example. We've just recently launched a product called Twitter Amplify, and we've just launched it in India. And one of the first examples was Star Sports and Vodafone coming together to release bite-sized match highlights of the recent India and England series. I wish India had won, but they released the highlights over there. And what that leads to is 2 things. One, it improves the content viewership on TV itself. That's number one. And number 2, it allows the brand to be part of a certain environment, which is cricket in this particular case. So, we think Twitter is a complementary medium, whether it's print or TV. It works very well with other medium. We have absolutely no conflict with brand spending on traditional media, and we think that if you play it well, it's a symbiotic relationship that we have with other mediums.
Right. If you can, talk about what marketers today are doing wrong on Twitter. Mm-hmm. 3 things.
Firstly, I won't call it things that they are doing wrong. I would just say things that they are yet to do. Number 1 is, I think they need to, it's important for marketers to plan their content piece on Twitter over a long term. It's a great medium to be in the moment, and that's a great thing to do. But as a marketer, do you understand all the moments, cultural moments that are peaking on Twitter over the next 3 to 6 months? And what's your brand's point of view with respect to those moments? So we've just introduced something called an Own Your Moment calendar. So this calendar is, it takes all the moments that have peaked in India over the last few months, and we give brands a sample of which are these moments. You can actually take this calendar, put it in your Microsoft Outlook or Gmail calendar or whatever you want to use, so that you know which moments would be trending on Twitter over the next few months. And then you can use these moments to put your brand in the context of these moments over here. I think it's important for brands to have a point of view and understand that, because that's real content marketing. That's number 1. Number 2, I think brands should be, can be a little more adventurous or maybe a little more experimental about using new technology. We have very interesting technologies that are being used globally. Vine is a great example. Vine is a 6-second video, loop video. I think it's a great technology, and I think brands could use that more. And third thing, I think it's very important, I've said this earlier, is empowerment. Empower people who are in charge of your social media accounts. They could be young, but unless you empower them, they would lose the moment, and it's important to be in the moment on social media.
I'm just going to open it up for questions, if anybody has any questions. Yeah, behind.
Yeah, hi. I'm Chaitanya from Johnson & Johnson Medical. So my question is quite simple, actually. It's on the growth story for Twitter in India. Because I just remember reading a few reports, I think on ET, especially a couple of months ago, which talked about how, just given the business model that Twitter has, and the kind of penetration that it already has in most of the Western markets, its growth story and expansion over the next couple of years is literally going to be decided in India, given that, again, China has a lot of limitations.
Okay, so what's the question?
So the question is, what is your take on the growth story for Twitter in India? And are some of these reports baseless, or do they have some sort of context?
Yeah, no, I won't. So we are going through a quiet period, unfortunately, so I cannot talk much about growth or reports. But I think it's important. If you see all around you, you would see that Twitter is interwoven in the cultural fabric of this country. Whether it's sports or Bollywood or politics, I think we see very innovative uses of Twitter here in this country. And the same is reflected in how brands and marketers are using Twitter over here. As I've said, I've seen great sparks of brilliance of use of Twitter over here in this country. And one of the things that we are focused on is, and we're really laser focused on this, is to make sure that marketeers and also media owners and content owners do this in a scalable manner. I think there's really great sparks of brilliance. We've seen some innovative campaigns. We are laser focused on making sure it's done in a sustainable and scalable manner over here.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Madam, my name is B.L. Pudar. I represent Setco Chemicals India Private Limited. I am talking of 2 Banaspati factories. One Banaspati factory is branded, another factory is not branded. The non-branded factory comes in the market and offers its produce in cheap rates, say 105 to 110. Now the branded factory loses its market. Now the present strategy that we do is that the branded factory has got another product from which he fights the non-branded company. Is it the perfect strategy or is there any other strategy?
Okay, so for this question, I'm definitely going to give you an answer. Pops, if you could answer that, you'd be the best person. If you could pass the mic just behind.
I don't know what to say, but if you brand, you will get premium pricing. If you don't brand, you will sell at commodity. If you want to value add and then change commodity to product and product to brand, you need to have a lot more investment. And the more investment you do, the more you create value and benefit for people, the more probably money you will make. Thank you.
Sam, you want to add on? You fully agree with Pops? Okay, cool. So I hope that answers your question. The gentleman behind had a question. Okay. Sorry, lady.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Shilpa from Aranik Corp. I lead the digital marketing division over there. So my question to you is an advice which I would need from you, or probably you could throw some light on as a expert on Twitter, or the leading the Twitter brand as such. Which particular industries in India and abroad, or maybe products, should I say, have done the best on Twitter? Could you throw some light on that? I mean, we could have some categories performing better in Twitter, or not performing so well.
It's a tough one to answer because depending on which country, which region, which business environment you're talking about, the companies change. I would say, firstly, across B2B and B2C both, we've seen some great examples of Twitter being used. We obviously talk about B2C brands very often, so everybody has heard of the Oreos and the Kit Kats doing this. But as much as B2B, even B2C, even B2B brands like GE, Intel are doing some really innovative use on Twitter. I really like what if you talk about India, I really like what some of the auto companies have done over here. I think they've used Twitter very well. It's a product that's very conspicuous. People love talking about their cars. It lends itself very well to a discussion, and I really love what they've been doing over here. I love what the technology brands are doing over here. I love CPG. Actually, if you start asking me, I'll probably end up naming all the verticals. So I think it's across all brands, all verticals, all industries. It really depends on if you have something meaningful to say to your customers, and if you have a reason to interact with your customers, this is the medium for you.
Barry, you just haven't answered a question.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's a very tough question to answer. I mean, I'll need to look, it's a wrong way to look at it in terms of the spends, because, innovative use of Twitter is not limited to the spends you're making on Twitter. I might have some idea of which verticals are spending more and so on, but that does not directly correlate to the innovation quotient of that vertical. But as I said, I think auto, tech, and some of the CPG advertisers are really doing some brilliant stuff over here in India.
Anybody else with a question? Yeah, the gentleman there. That's the last question.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Ashish and I work for Lubin Limited. My question is very specific. You said that on Twitter or on social media, to become successful, what need to come together is the moment as well as what you stand for. Is it limited to Twitter or is it for any social media, what you have to say? My question comes with a background. Why? Because in pharmaceutical, if we would like to create enough awareness on a disease, it may not be related to a specific moment. It may be very much ingrained in the issues. So how to go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question. So firstly, what you and your company stands for, I think that's universal. You need to understand what's your voice. And what voice would you want to communicate to others with? That's number one. The concept of moments is a little more pronounced on Twitter than other mediums because it's a real-time medium. People use Twitter for the here and now. It's the pulse of the planet. That having said, your presence on Twitter or any other medium should not be limited to just the moment. If you think you have a message that would be relevant whether it's in that moment or not, I think you should go out and give out that message and not wait for a particular moment to happen or not. Because if the message is relevant, it's relevant. And that goes for Twitter as well as other mediums as well.
Right, on that note, thank you so much for listening in, and thank you so much, Parry, for
Sonali.
sharing all those
Thanks for
insights
having me
this
here.
afternoon.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I once again invite Mr. Deepak Lamba to please come on stage and present a token of gratitude to Mr. Parminder Singh.
Yes, sir? Actually, that gentleman behind was actually answering it for you. His name is Pops, the man with the glasses behind, same table.
Thank you. Thank you.
But we'll answer it offline.
And thank you very much, Sonali, for a wonderful session.